Good. How's it going?
It's going great. Going great. Today should be the last day of me having to swing by my rental condo and get everything figured out with the water issue. So it should be nice and ready to roll by the end of the day. All right, let's share some good news. I know
You muted yourself.
Donna's got some good news, right?
I do have good news. My amendment to address concerns was accepted by the seller, so we can move forward in the process.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so now we're on to the next phase. So appraisal, here we come, right?
That's right. The appraisal was ordered yesterday, so we're expecting the site visit within 5 days.
Okay, perfect. That actually brings up a really interesting point that I want to make sure. It's a bit of a nuance, but I believe personally it's very, very important. So it sounds like this is what you did, but I want to make sure. So in a perfect world, what we want to do is make sure that we have enough time, not obviously for the inspection, right, the due diligence period, but that there's also enough of a difference in days between the end of the due diligence period and the end of the appraisal contingency. The reason why I say that is because let's use Donna's transaction as an example, okay? So Donna, of course, her buyer got a home inspection, bunch of stuff on the home inspection report that was concerning, okay? So a bunch of stuff on the inspection report that was concerning, and then she prepares an amendment. And then sends it over to the seller, right? So then the seller is tasked with going to get estimates and trying to decide if they want to fix it and all these things, right? Let's just pretend for a second that while they're pondering all of those, while they are pondering that, they get a call from the appraiser that says, hey, the buyer's just ordered an appraisal and they'd like to stop by tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Will that be okay? So what's happened is the buyer has not only has invested more money into the transaction, right? The appraisal's not free. It's usually around $350 to $450, right? So if I'm the seller and I'm helping my seller assess whether I want to fix any of this stuff or not, or how much money they're asking me to concede, or how much money it would take to fix all these issues, and I get a call from the buyer's appraiser saying, hey, the buyer just dropped another $400 into the deal, I'm probably not going to agree, or I'm probably going to encourage my seller not to agree to fix a whole lot of that stuff, right? Because they're telling me it's a concern, it's a contractual concern, yet that's not what their actions are showing me. Their actions are showing me they're ready to move forward in the deal, right? So that can be detrimental to the negotiation process, right? And how much leverage you have. What would be a much better scenario would be, let's go ahead and ask for whatever we want to ask for during the due diligence period. Let's resolve that. And then the minute we have signatures, then we can order the appraisal. Or we can be in touch with the lender and say, hey, I want to make sure all the paperwork or whatever is in place, but don't you dare call that, don't have the appraiser order or the sent out or call until I say so. Got it? Right? And they're more than happy to work with those situations. They know what you're trying to do. So that way they get it settled, then they make the investment into the appraisal. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, but this is what happened in my case, and give me your opinion on what I should have done. So I sent over the amendment to address concerns after I had a conversation with the listing agent about what we were going to request. We talked about it. And she said, go ahead and send it over. And so I sent it over, and then she texted me back and said the seller had some questions. He wants to know if the appraisal has been ordered yet. And then he wanted to know how many days before the appraiser was going to get out there. So they actually asked those two questions because I remembered what you said about that, about not getting the appraisal before getting those concerns addressed. So they agreed to most of what my buyer wanted, but how was I supposed to
Okay,
respond to her
role
questions?
play it with me. You ask the questions the listing agent asked, and I'll be you. Got it?
Got it.
All right, go ahead.
Um, Hey, Donna, the seller wants to know if the appraisal has been ordered yet.
Thanks for asking. The appraisal has not been ordered. We're still trying to decide if we want to move forward in the contract based on the condition of the home. So my buyer actually has a lot of concerns. However, the ones that we sent you over are the ones that are most important to us. And once we get that resolved, then we're ready to order the appraisal, but we're not going to order it until we get this resolved.
Hey, Donna, the seller wants to know how soon the appraiser is going to get out there.
I've worked with this lender a lot, and the turn time is around 2 to 3 days at this point. Should there be any change in that, I'll let you know right away.
Okay, got it.
Make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Remember, people can ask whatever they want to ask. Our job is to protect our client, right? So we're not under any mandate to answer some question that some random agent is asking because they're curious or because they're trying to do something weird, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't want to do the wrong thing to kind of turn them off so that they wouldn't agree to what she was asking, but I totally understand your point.
Well, my point is, look, you don't have a ton of leverage. I mean, they don't know where you stand. So the only thing that you're displaying to them when you send in your amendment is what your concerns are. So don't send in the amendment and be like, okay, well, we're gonna have the termite inspection this day and this and all this. Say, look, we're not moving forward till you address this stuff. Okay, now that doesn't mean you're not working in the background to say like, hey, termite guy, we're looking at Thursday. Can you pencil that in for me? I'll let you know in a minute. Right? So you're doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes with your team, but remember, you've got a different attitude, and your the way you're communicating with the other side is totally different. Does that make sense? Because they will eat you alive if you let them.
Yeah, that
Right?
makes sense. I guess I was thinking of it as he wants to see how quickly this is going to move forward. He's anxious to get it done. So if
Yeah,
we're,
I'm sure he is. I'm anxious to get it done too, but we're going to do it in the right order, and he's not going to boss me around. I'm in control.
got it.
Right? I'm sure he's curious. He knows how long an appraisal takes, and he knows what the deadline is. Tell him to go focus on something else. I'm focusing on making sure that my buyer gets the home in the condition that they want it to be in. So we're not going to have any more discussions until we're done resolving this. I'm not trying to be abrasive here, but you know, you don't have to give them everything they want when they want it. Your job is to protect your seller. Make sense?
It,
I'm sorry, your client really, but in this scenario, your buyer. Okay.
yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. Any questions about that, guys? That's a really important concept. Has anyone experienced that side of it, or had it happen the other way and had, you feel like you could have got some different terms or got something else agreed upon? All right, cool. Okay, tell me some more good news. Let's do one or two more things, and then I'll go over a handful of things I want to talk about. Don't forget, by the way, I was on a call with a couple of you guys yesterday who are not subscribed to the YouTube channel. So I highly recommend that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you are so interested, you can set up the notifications where anytime we update a video or upload a video, I should say, you get a little alert on it. The YouTube page is completely updated with the exception of the growth mastermind that we did yesterday. I'll have that up today. Otherwise, everything is up there. And on Sunday, I sent some of my favorite videos, like the 10 steps to 6 figures, and a GPS class, and a 411 class, and a business planning class, and a lead generation and economic model class. So all that stuff is all linked up. I would greatly appreciate you subscribing and kind of being aware of where to find all the content that you may have to miss every once in a while. Okay. Okay. Who else has some good news?
Got my taxes done yesterday.
All
It
right,
wasn't
just in time.
outrageous. Yeah, I had enough in savings, so I'm
All
gonna
right.
survive.
Another little side note, the money that you're paid, that includes the government share. So don't pretend like you're finding this out for the first time when the tax bill comes, okay? Set aside a little bit of cash so that you can pay your quarterly estimates. I would recommend two things. Number one is you partner up with a CPA who knows how to deal with business owners. And number two, you have a tax account. So I would, this is not CPA advice, but I would probably be in that neighborhood of around 25 to 30% of your GCI you should have tucked away for taxes, okay? And I would highly suggest that you buy your CPA a copy of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and hand it to them and say, this is the model I'm going to be following as I work with the financials of my business, and this is the way I want you to run the numbers for my business. Are you interested in this job? And if they say, no, we do it our way, say, great. All the best to you, sir, or ma'am, I'm going to go find somebody who does it this way. Right? Make sense?
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. I've got a CPA who I've used for a number of years. He's very familiar with the real estate world. And I'm of the mind where I'm going to interview the crap out of him at the very beginning, and then I'm just going to let him do his job. And I'm not going to micromanage every little thing he does. I'm going to make sure I trust him. I'm going to give him the stack of papers that's wildly unorganized, and he's going to make sense of it. Okay? All right. Anything that we are struggling with in particular before we move on to a couple of things that I want to chat about? Anyone want to share a struggle they're having? We want to overcome an objection. Want to do a little role play? What are we having a hard time with right now?
For me, non-communication of another agent from another company, what I'm dealing with right now.
How bad is it?
Very bad, to where I can email, I can text, I could call. She has two different phone numbers, and we're to the point I'm still waiting for an amendment. We're supposed to close today. I still have not gotten that amendment. After the appraisal came back, 10,000 less. My clients were initially trying to go with Rocket Mortgage on their own. And so we had to cancel that contract, had to come back to Supreme Lending, and they were able to get them everything within probably 7 day time frame, 17 days time frame, appraisal and that kind of stuff. Rocket Mortgage is a desktop appraisal, which we don't know how they end up doing that because FHA won't honor that or look at that. So we got another appraisal done with Supreme Lending. It was 10,000 less than what we thought. So now the sellers, they agreed to go down to the 200K, but they are now wanting to negotiate not paying closing costs and trying to take away the refrigerator bill. I think I mentioned some of this with you the other day.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So now is the agent has this, when it was of dire need, when I was contacting her, no communication whatsoever. I even reached out to the broker, and the broker never called me back on yesterday because
Who's the broker?
Can't remember her name right offhand, but I don't want to say the company, but it's yeah. And
well, I might know him. Maybe I can help you.
Virtual Properties.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, the only thing you can do is do what you did, which is, let's see if we can't get the broker involved. Let's continue to reach this person by every means we have possible. And this is something that once we get, I know this sounds crazy to say, but once we give it our best effort, and I mean, like, you're being very thorough, right? You're calling the person's broker, you're emailing, texting, calling the other number, texting the other number. I mean, you're giving it 100%. So of what value is it to continue to stress out about it. You just keep calling and keep texting. Text the woman on the hour every hour, and then go call some other people. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's only so much we can control here. We have to focus on the things we can control. Right? I know you feel like your deal's falling apart. My suspicion is it's probably not, but stressing out about it isn't probably going to help much after you've done everything you can do. What's probably going to make you feel better is getting on the phone with a new person that you can go help.
Yeah, true.
Right. You guys, sometimes we have non-responsive coworkers and colleagues, and I hate to say it, but sometimes they might be at Keller Williams, right? So oftentimes the best agent is going to do more than 50% of the work. And you know what? It's just the way it is. And there's nothing you can do to fix that. You just got to keep your head up and do what needs to get done, because your primary job is to make sure your client is protected and gets what they want. Make sense? Okay, I want to comment about, one last thing is, please don't forget, the end of the day Tuesday is when we report our numbers. So put in your actuals for the week of the 8th through the 14th and put in your goals for the following week, okay? So if you could do that ASAP, that'd be fantastic. I have a coaching call today, tomorrow with my coach, but we report all of our numbers basically every day through the leadership team. So please don't be late on that, okay? All right, I got a question. Actually, this came up 2 different times in some coaching sessions yesterday, and I just want to address it publicly with everyone. So I've gotten the question a few times about, do I have to do this? Do I have to do this type of lead generation? Do I have to do social media? Do I have to call expireds and these kind of things? This is going to sound super direct, okay? No, you don't have to do anything, quite frankly. However, your goals tell us what the activities are we need to do. So for example, your goals might tell you that you need to go on 2 appointments per month. Okay. So I, quite frankly, don't really care how you get those appointments, whether they're strangers, sphere of influence, expired listings, open houses, circle prospecting, if you buy them, any of that stuff. The thing you need to be thinking about, though, is whatever style you want to do, whatever time, whatever way that you want to spend your time, however you want to prospect, however you want to communicate with your database, you got one question to answer, which is this getting me the results I need, right? So let's say, for example, we need 2 appointments in the course of the month, and today is the 15th of the month, and we have 0. There is a possibility that your plan is not working. So you don't have to do anything you don't want to do if you're hitting your numbers. If you're not on goal and you're not going to earn the income that your family needs and that is going to take you to the next level, then you may have to introduce some new strategies into your world. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, what other thoughts or comments do we have on that? Anything? Okay, so today is the 15th of the month. Let me just give you a quick update on what that means. We have a document in the Google Drive called the 15th protocol. I think it's actually called Final 15th protocol. What that is it the 15th of the month protocol is a tool that a lot of agents will use and a lot of leadership will use to assess basically how are we doing halfway through the month with our plan. Okay, so what that means is initially, when you start your month, you basically have okay, we're going to do this number of open houses, this number of calls, this number of appointments, etc. Right? We run the play that you feel like running or that you have determined is the way to hit your goals. Halfway through the month, if not even more frequently, we basically take inventory of how we're doing. How is all this activity produce the results or lack of results that we need? And are we on track? So the 15th of the month protocol is basically a predetermined list of new strategies or more intense strategies that we're going to commit to because we're behind. and because we don't really want to be behind, right? We want to hit our goals. We want to earn the income that we've set out to earn, right? If you have a desire to make $80,000 and because you're behind on all your goals, you make 35, well, what does that do? Does that mean that your family can't pay their mortgage? Does that mean that the kids can't go to private school? Does that mean you have to cancel your vacation? Does that mean you can't go to the grocery store? You get behind on your bills? Like, what does that mean? Right? So I don't want that stuff for you. I want you guys to crush your bills. I want you to crush your goals. Okay? So the 15th of the month protocol is a great list of activities to do that you basically look and you say, am I on track? Yes or no? If the answer is no, I pull out the 15th of the month protocol. That's my new plan. And then I run that plan until I catch back up. Okay. A good example of that, we did share this publicly before, so I'm not divulging any secrets, but Marinelli and I, what would this have been? Like the last couple days of June, she realized that she was significantly behind in her number of contacts. So she basically had one of two choices. She could just kind of chalk it up to the month and say, this happened, this happened, this happened, and so I'm behind. That would be one option. The other option is to say, well, my goals are not flexible. That's a commitment. I've made a commitment to do the activities that I need to do because I need to support my family and I want to accomplish these goals. So we then brainstorm together, rather than changing the goal, what can we do to achieve the goal? So we blocked out more time. She got the help of her husband, and they did 2 bold 100s each back to back, and then ended up putting an extra 3 contacts on the board over and above what her goal said she needs. Does that make sense? So I want you to we're halfway through the month, and we're 2 weeks beyond halfway through the year. So this is a really good time for you to kind of reevaluate, how have you been spending your time? How have you been practicing to become a more efficient and productive real estate agent, right? How can we adopt some potentially new habits or stop some habits so that we can get back on track and make sure we're hitting our numbers? I experimented with something today, which was I've been listening to, I'm basically listening to stuff all day. And an idea that I got last night was, let's see how long I can wait to check my email after I wake up. Okay. Meaning I don't really want to do it anymore where I'm laying in bed checking the email for the first time. That's not good for your brain. They actually said that if you can delay checking your email by an hour after you get up, then that increases your productivity by 30%. Okay, 30%. Meaning you get up, you exercise, you go eat a healthy breakfast, you pray, you read something, you stay positive, you read your intentions, you really think through, how am I going to give my highest level performance today before you go and find out how everyone else wants you to live your life, right? He also had a really strong comment that I really had to do some soul searching on. And he says, when you're in social media, I understand the importance of social media, okay? Definitely. But if you spend all day scrolling through social media, whose life are you living? Are you living their life? Or are you living your life? Right? That's kind of been rolling around in my head all day. So I want you to give that some thought as well, right? It's fine to do some posting and to say hi to your friends, but be intentional about it and then get off. Don't scroll all day long and then wonder why you're behind in your numbers, okay? What do you hear when I say that?
It's priority and mindset, and I actually like that. It is. You can get stuck in that, oh, look at that person, look at what they're doing, and that's already starting the spiral for the rest of your day. So if you're intentional and not going on there, but really giving to yourself and feeding yourself, and I think something was brought up at the team meeting yesterday, maybe. Anyway, but you focus on you, whatever that is. If you eat breakfast, I don't eat breakfast. I eat breakfast around 11. That's just me. But working out is important. Having intentional journaling first thing in the morning, and it's purposeful not to go on and do those. Okay, I'm going to get my 5 things on Instagram, blah, blah, blah. I can do that later in the day. I've got all day to do that, because you will get stuck in the spiral. So this just sets your mind right where you're focusing on yourself and not seeing or starting the whole comparison, because it's the first thing you're going to see in the morning by scrolling through.
Yeah, and then you have that mind frame. You have that framework for the way your brain is working first thing in the morning. Oh, they
Right.
have that car. Oh, they're at the beach and I'm sitting here working. Oh, they just bought a big home. Oh, they're out on the boat. And then you're like, well, I don't, and then you start feeling bad about yourself, and then it's hard to go be at your highest level.
Right.
All right, I want to just thank you for sharing that. I just want to share one other thing. A great tool that kind of piggybacks on some of the concepts we've talked about today is the pipeline tool. Okay, so I don't have one in front of me. I can actually I'll post it to the group a little bit later today. It's actually very simple. It's a blank sheet of paper or a blank Google Doc, and on the top it says pipeline. Okay, and then on the left hand side it has the numbers going down, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? Just a listing the people that should appear and will ultimately appear on your pipeline. And then there's one more column, and that's just simply rank. Okay, here's how I would rank it. I expect to be paid from working with this person in the next 30 days. That's a 10. I expect to be paid from working with this person in the next 60 days. That's a 9. 90 days, that's an 8. 6 months, let's call it a 7. 1 year, let's call it a 6. This person likes me, but I have no idea if I'll ever get paid or if it will be 10 years from now. We'll call that something less than a 5. Okay. What we want to do is be able to look at our pipeline, and then you simply just add the people's names. Okay. By the way, this is not a database. This is not where you put all the notes. This is not where you put the person's contact information or any of that stuff. This is a super, super blunt, specific list. These are the people that you intend to work with and be paid to help in the appropriate amount of time. Now, let's say that in the next 12 months, you have a goal to do 15 transactions. Okay, and you write down everybody that you believe that you could help in the next 12 months, and there's 3 people on that list. What do we know? We know we need to grow the list.
Sorry, I just want to have you repeat that. I got it.
We know we need to grow the list. Well, we want to look at that list. I remember specifically thinking this when I was building my business. I was like, I am actively creating so much chaos that I can barely keep it all straight, knowing that I won't ever have to, right? If I've got 40 people on my pipeline report, the chances of them all calling me on the same day, it's never going to happen. And if 5 of them happen to call me today and say, hey, let's get started, then I'll just get a little help. Not a big deal. But I want to put as many people on that list as possible, so that, because that's kind of like your future earnings page, right? And that's almost like a thermometer on how financially healthy is my business today, and is my business looking for the next, let's say, 6 months. Does anyone use a form like that? Does anyone see the benefit of using a form like that?
Most definitely see the benefit.
Definitely beneficial.
Yes.
Okay, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing super techy. It's simply a list of names and how you would rank that person. Okay.
I have a plan. What I want to do is I want to put up a big poster board or some kind of project board in front of me and have those different time frames and have little Post-its with people's names.
Yep.
And move them so that it's a visual in front of me, just like my vision board.
I think that's
And
great.
if I have pictures, I'm going to use pictures, like when they close and stuff.
I love that. That is, I've done a number of variations of that. I would encourage you to do different color Post-it notes based on the time frame. And I might, like, what I used to do is I'd write the person's name and I'd write the expected commission.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
right? And then I would move them, and I had them from a few different columns. I had them on the prospects. I had them on the clients. What's the difference between a prospect and a client, by the way? A prospect would be somebody who you're flirting with. A client would be somebody who has contractually committed to working with you exclusively. Okay. Then I would have another little column for under contract, meaning they've got an actual property under contract, right? And then I would probably also have a kind of will be prospect soon, like kind of my hottest leads that haven't made themselves to the board yet, if you will. Right. I think that's a great idea. I would, if it was me, I'd probably use those small Post-it notes that are colored, that have different, you buy one of those different color packs. So you can have like one color is this rank or this, phase of the process. This color is a different rank or phase of the process, like that. I really enjoyed looking at it that way. I would have those for recruiting efforts. I would have those for my buyers and sellers. Absolutely.
So what I want to do is make sure that I have like numbers up there too, in case I don't have the exact number of clients and prospects to meet my goal for the year. Let's say I want to have 26 transactions. I want to
Okay.
make sure I have 26 Post-it notes up there, even if it's just a number and not a name, so I can see what I'm working towards and make sure that I'm reaching that goal.
So the caveat here is you need to use a tool that makes sense for you. So when I respond to this, I'm thinking through my own little frame. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong or you're right or wrong. Okay. But what I would do is make sure that it's distinctive from, let's say you have 12 on your list and you need 26, right? So the 14 that you're lacking should be a different color.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And then every time you meet a new person and you put them on the pipeline, you take down one of the 14 that's lacking, that's like, let's say dark blue or something, and you turn them into a light yellow because now you've already met with them or something.
Right.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
And then that constantly reminds you, hey, I'm kind of behind, and if I don't really focus on building my business and meeting new people, like I'm going to struggle. Right. So the pipeline is a really good tool. Remember, we work in 90-day cycles. So the activities that you do over the course of, let's say, the next 60 days or so, that's really all you're going to earn the rest of the year, most likely. Right? So you've got another 60 to 75 days of, you've got a 60 to 75 days of activity that could ultimately turn into paychecks before before the end of the year, before the end of 2020. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, that makes sense.
All right, y'all. Don't forget, we've got a really cool day. Sarah Sloan, one of our top agents, is going to be doing her live listing presentation. That is a different link. So please make sure that you are looking into the newsletter to see what link that is. It was also sent out in Sunday's email. And then immediately after that's over, we will hop into this room from 1:30 to 3:30 with Robin T, who's going to be showing us a ton of stuff on command, giving us a private command lesson. So please make sure you tune into that stuff. Send in your numbers as soon as you can, please. And I'm looking forward to catching you guys soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, bye.
Bill.
You too. Bye-bye.